It is another beautiful Wellness Wednesday here on High Impact TV, tea or coffee. And you know, here is where we either take tea or we take coffee. And High Impact TV, of course, we are the first full HD TV station in Nigeria. And we are known for securing the future. We educate, we inform, and we entertain you. My name is Modupe Jacobs, and I have with me, as always on Wednesdays, two beautiful ladies, starting from you.
Oluwaseun Olusegun.
And good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
You guys are looking bright.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so today we'll be talking about dietary habits for children.
Definitely.
And thinking about this topic, it just takes me back to when I was younger, like way back. And then, you know, my mom used to pack my lunch for me box. And then my lunch box, and I have I understand. I have all these biscuits, and sweets, as is that what they call appetizers? Sometimes she gives me fruits though.
Nah. That's more like
mouth.
That one that you take in between breaks, the 1 o'clock or the 12 o'clock breaks. That's like a norm, a tradition.
Because I was going to mention that, especially nowadays, you have schools 2 breaks, 1 by 12 o'clock.
Really?
They call that mid-break. Then 2 o'clock is lunch. Yes.
So wait, how does that work? Do you have 30 minutes or 1 hour?
30 minutes is usually for the mid-break, 12 to 12:30.
Oh,
it's amazing how you can still remember.
The last time I asked my cousin that, why do you, because I also had to do mid-break and lunch break during my time. But it was actually for a purpose because
what we had was wee break. That one that you go to the toilet to go urinate or eat yourself. 15 minutes.
During my time, it was for a purpose. Knowing that you have to resume school, especially boarders, you have to be in school by 7:30 thereabout before assembly.
You went to boarding school?
Yeah, I did. You have to be by 7:30, and you don't want to be late. So most of us tend not to have breakfast by 7:30. So they refer us to eat by 12, then 2 o'clock for lunch. So that was my situation. But when I asked my cousin that, okay, why do you? And the next day he says that we can't be reading from 8 till 2 o'clock.
Exactly.
True.
I know. The brain will just get tired.
So they have to eat by 12.
And the attention
it's amazing how you can still remember. Because
childhood. I don't think childhood is anything you.
I'm talking about the break now.
The break. Still part of the childhood memories. If you had an awesome childhood, you definitely remember.
I think we had like 3 breaks because I know we had one. You said 12. And I think 2.
Modupe, you are not that old for you not to remember your childhood
memories. A long time.
Well.
Okay, but that's actually why dietary habits for children is important that we talk about it because now you're talking about most times having to have breakfast. And we all know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yeah, true.
Yes, so it's important that parents to know the right amount of food and type. The difference when you overfeed a child with a particular portion
and then it's not nutritious,
Exactly.
For that age, the school age children, they have some certain nutrients requirement that they need for growth because biologically, medically, from 0 to 5 is when the growth, 90% especially of your brain growth, that is when it grows more. So all the brain, whatever, cognitive functions that you have now developed between the ages of 0 to 5. So you cannot afford to give them rubbish or empty calories. So they just have to have some nutrients.
Exactly, because now, as I always say, because these days, trust me, I'm always amazed at how bright and sharp
children,
1-year-old
Tell me about it. Sometimes I feel like they download these children. Like the Generation Z is just totally off the hook. Things that we didn't do until maybe we were 3 years or 4 years. And sometimes I just sit down to wonder, okay, is it because of the change in the environment? Is it as a result of the difference in nutrition that we consume or the things that we eat now? Is it nature? Is it nurture? Is it genetics? Because I just can't wrap my hands around it. Look at before, when you give birth to a child, till the 8th day, the child will not open the eyes.
Now,
yeah.
but when you're everything are you?
Things like this. And then when
By the third day, they start recognizing where the breast is.
so so it's just although they might not be able to see because there's this the vision from the first to the third day, they can practically just see blurry images and not make anything out of it. Still, there's this considerable improvement and evolution, if I'm allowed to call it that.
You know, that's why it's even important
crazy.
that we even talk about this that I said earlier, because now they are back in school.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was
You
going
know,
to mention
yes,
that
they are back in
they are back in school.
and then and let's go into you were saying something earlier on before the show. You were trying to tell us something.
Yes,
I think you should actually relate to that. You know,
I know.
because it's important that it's being
Definitely.
addressed. So let's hear.
Okay, so I
Gist.
was having a conversation. See her, you just love gist, yeah?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I was having a conversation with my aunt, yes, and then she goes like, I don't know what I can do to Dominino again. I'm like, what is wrong? Dominino is my cousin, by the way.
Okay.
She's like, I'm like, what is wrong with Dominino? She said, she has refused to eat. I said, okay. Before a child will refuse to eat, is it that
Something
you
is
were
wrong.
not giving the child something interesting or something is wrong somewhere? So she goes like, hey, Dominino came back from school and mentioned that, okay, for her, she believes in this diet thing. Do you understand?
Okay.
So she gives her apple and water
To school.
for the mid-break. No,
Okay.
for the mid-break.
Mid-break,
Oh,
okay.
then 2 o'clock, you would have proper food.
Okay.
So Dominino gets to school and realizes that all her mates,
friends,
her classmates, come with biscuits, gum, sweets, and all those
Sweet drinks.
snack that they eat.
Yeah.
And then one of them goes like, Dominino, your mom cannot afford all of this. That is why she keeps giving you
Oh my
apple, because
God.
apple is not all that expensive. Please, apple is something that you can
At what
always
age, please?
So apple is something that you can always buy, and then she can't afford all the sweets and biscuits. Like, imagine my mom got this when she traveled and got back something.
Oh my.
So it got to
my.
Dominino, and Dominino got home and told her mom that she's not eating anything again. And then mom was like, what have I done wrong? Is it a bad thing to keep my child healthy and make sure? Because she was like, you can't keep eating rice, because that's what she takes to school most of the
To
time.
school.
So she tries to like put supplement like fruits, something to break it down. But then Dominino goes like, she's not
Okay,
going to
now
eat again. And I
this
think
is
that
like-
is where peer pressure comes in.
Yes, that means it actually affects the dietary habits
just
of
heartbreaking.
children. You know?
But now let me shock you. Dominino's mother, the following day, decided to pack like 5 biscuits, different. I know, different
telling
brands, expensive ones,
Wow.
not just any kind
Any
of
type.
expensive ones. She packed like 5 and sweet. No, lunchbox was heavy that day. Like,
Oh my God.
I'm sure Dominino got to school
So
and
she's
like,
about
she
to the
probably
pressure.
need someone to insult her like this every day. So
Every
her mom
day.
can do this. But then, for me, when she told me that she had to do that to make the
It's
child
heartbreaking.
understand that
Understand.
I can afford these things. It's just that it's for your own
The healthy
growth.
choices.
Then, I try to explain to her that I do not think it is actually right to now do that. Pack all sorts of snacks.
Looking
In
at
that
it from
case-
another's angle, I feel Wura is right because, you know,
Definitely.
she might then tend to get too used to it and then she won't take the fruits she's supposed to
I
take,
think she
which
has
is
even
actually
lost
the right
the
thing.
whole idea of actually keeping your child healthy.
Addressing it should be talking to the teachers, to talk to the children.
Children.
They can
Yes.
afford to have that kind of mentality at that age.
Exactly.
See, we've heard several cases of children who were bullied and could not take it and had to commit suicide and do worse things to themselves.
Even at a very young
We
age.
can afford it. The mental health, everything. We're not just talking about the food choices that will help their body grow. Then the mental health. It is heartbreaking. Those children need to understand. You can, from that age, starting to get pressured by your peers, which is in actual fact affecting your own body system. So if they're going to say, okay, well, giving her snacks, that is just a temporary measure. They need to deal with the root cause of that problem.
man.
I know it was sad for me, but then
really, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
I had to sit her down also that, see, if you're going to listen to people and you're going to listen to everyone around you, then there are times that you wouldn't even get something good out of people.
Totally.
Just listen to your parents, because they are the ones that actually brought you to this life. They wouldn't watch you do bad stuff or bad things happen to you. She's like, yeah, I understand, but actually, can mommy afford it? Like, of course she can. And
so we
it was
have a
beginning
problem
to
here
change the mentality of the child.
So she actually needs to, for the child to be able to know that, okay, to feel that way, that means the mother, your cousin can actually sit her down and talk to her, explain things to her, which I feel she would understand, because obviously she is the bright child.
Definitely.
Yeah, so she will understand that,
And that takes me to also, before we actually need to go on a break, but before we do that, that takes me to children who would never take beans to school.
I was going to say that
no.
right from childhood, we need to have this infusion of knowledge, dietary choices, because one thing is, dietary habits of children first are formed as a result of what they see in their environment, right from the immediate family, and then the choices that you give to them. And then because they don't really have the knowledge of it, I hated beans. I really did. When I started liking beans was when they said it was going to make me tall. When I heard that, oh yeah, beans is going to make you tall, and I was sure, I'm short. So I felt like, oh yeah, I want to add some height. And then I started eating beans.
Well, is that really true?
Oh, not really. It's not. It just helps with tissue growth and all that. It doesn't exactly help.
Because I know if it actually does, I should be reaching the ceiling right now.
No, I'll probably be the tallest woman in Nigeria.
All right, so we really need to go on a break. But please do stay glued because the conversation continues. So please stay glued to Tea or Coffee. We'll be right back.
Experience the excitement at High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort. Our state-of-art facility offer amazing outdoor rides, playhouses, indoor games, and dining facilities. Thrill your student with a lifetime memorable excursion trip. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
Discover the magic. The thrill. Every sight is so close you can feel it. The excitement. The fear. Experience our cinemas at High Impact Planet, the place where fun just got real.
And you're welcome back. As you know, this is tea or coffee. Oh, okay. This is still tea or coffee on your favorite TV show. I think I've had too much coffee.
I know, right? Because I'm about to ask what's happening.
This is still your favorite breakfast show on your first full HD TV in Nigeria, High Impact Television. You know, we are the flagship. Yeah. Okay, so we've been talking about healthy diets, healthy dietary habits, and food choices. In children, specifically school-age children, you know, how things around them can affect their choices, how peer pressure, the parent choices, the food pattern, and a host of other things.
Yes.
So,
before we went on break, we were actually talking about taking beans to school. And then you mentioned something interesting, because a lot of people actually have this mentality that beans is just protein. But then you mentioned something.
Yes, that is very wrong. A lot of people, whenever they think about proteinous food, when they're told to mention proteinous food, the first thing that comes to your mind is beans. Now, the thing is, beans almost has the same amount of carbohydrates, the same way it has protein. So it's not chiefly protein, the way people paint it. If you're talking about proteinous food, actually fish meats have more protein than beans. You still have, so it's as good as still eating a balanced source of nutrients, carbohydrates. So it's not all about the protein. So once you're looking for a very good source of protein, beans is not the one to turn to. Now, talking about beans now, because I know the common one we refer to in Nigeria is what we call cowpea. The Vigna unguiculata.
Okay.
That's a botanical
In case
name.
you're wondering how she comes up with this name, she's a nutritionist.
And we have different type of beans too. You know, we have the peas, the regular peas. We have the monk beans. We have the kidney beans.
Yeah.
We have different type of beans. But then the regular one is cowpea.
Refer to as I'm trying to remember now. Oloyin in Yoruba.
In Yoruba, that's
a
white
sweet,
beans. Is it white beans?
Wrong.
Oh.
That's a brown. It's fair brown sort of.
Okay.
It's fair brown, sweet species of the regular cowpea still.
Okay.
So that one, without you adding extra ingredients, you know, there are some people that add sugar. Well, yeah, some
While
add
cooking
sugar.
beans, yes.
Some put all the seasonings. So
I'm just
that one you
hearing
don't
that.
need to add the extra. It's just sweet on its own. That's just a specific. The same way you have different types of corn. You have the flint corn, you have the dense corn, you have the popcorn. If you use dense corn is the one, sweet corn actually is the regular one that we roast and boil. So if you use sweet corn to attempt to make popcorn, it won't pop well.
Okay.
So yeah, just the same way you have different. These things are
But did you at
complicated.
any point take beans to school while you were young? Why?
I hated it.
I did though. I actually
Hated it.
with plantain. My mom's beans is just the best. I'm sorry, I need to hyper.
I used to eat it at home though.
Dupe's mom.
You know, I always take it to school with plantain. She fries the plantain in one type of special way, you know. So I'm always, you know.
It actually reminds me of my, when you tell my mom that beans is not sweet, it's not good. My mom will tell, okay, you know what? I'll make it interesting. She'll put corn, plantain,
Exactly.
yam. But if I want to eating the food, you hardly eat beans or see beans in it. Well, by the time she combines all those things. So at times it makes me interested in beans.
I used to eat that one. We used to call it then. We had a name for it, adalu, beans and corn. There's a way to boil the corn separately because it's sort of harder, and then you now boil it together with the beans. Jollof beans, my God, I like that one. And then another thing is beans gives a lot of people heartburn, and then there's this extra flatulence that comes with it, chiefly because, okay, let me attempt to break it down. The carbohydrates, you know, I talked about beans containing carbohydrates and protein. The carbohydrates in beans are complex carbohydrates, oligosaccharides. So the thing is, we humans, once we consume those complex carbohydrates, we do not actually have the enzyme to digest them fully. So the body has to look for a way around it. So there is that probability that you're going to have stomach gas and flatulence and all that. And so for some people too, it gives them heartburn. For me, actually.
Okay.
So sometimes you can modify the preparation, like you can make it into beans cake akara, or you make it into moi moi.
Moi moi.
Or better still, you can soak it overnight, remove the skin, it reduces it, and yeah.
Okay, having
drink a lot of water.
heartburn, can that be classified under food allergies?
No, it's not a food allergy.
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Because
I
food
just wanted
allergy
to
has to
clear.
do with it has to do with something differently where your body reacts as a result of the immunoglobulins in your blood
you know what?
streams.
I actually want a situation where, because before the program, we all had our stories to share about what you ate while you were young. I have shared mine.
Okay.
You have shared yours.
Yeah.
Now, Modukwe, it's time for you to share your childhood moments when it comes to taking food.
Okay, taking food to school while I was a child wasn't actually an issue, you know, because my mom always had the time to cook, wake it up very early, you know, to cook. And then we had combinations like yam and egg, plantain and egg, yam and beans,
That's so smooth.
plantain and
Actually,
beans.
I think children actually take egg a lot.
Then rice,
Yes,
egg,
yes.
So I
It's
must say
very
that.
advisable.
Rice, boiled egg, and a fried stew. Oh, my mom is a good cook. You know?
Okay.
I can only taste it on my
I
tongue.
need to actually visit.
You should.
One of these days.
You know,
Mine
so
was-
I had all those varieties when it comes to food, and you know, I was a I was a lucky child.
You actually look like someone that was really a fan of snack.
I know, see my
And then I can, she must have been a chubby
Fan
kid.
of snack.
I was
I was a fan of
Biscuits
snack.
and all
I,
that.
But let me on a lighter note now. There was this friend of mine when I was a child. You know, and funny enough, I still know her up till now. I'm not fancy her now, but I think it was Omobola Day, and you know, she used to bring
That
Eba,
name rings a bell.
Eba to school
Wow.
in the morning.
In the morning.
And I'm like, why? Why would they do this to you?
But wait, there is actually this mentality that when you take swallow,
Okay.
generally in the morning, it makes you sleep.
it's not a mentality. It's
Is
the
it true?
truth. Yes.
Is it actually true?
Yes, it is the truth. There are
yeah,
some
no, even
foods
Actually,
that
it's
can
not
make
just
you
swallow.
slow.
Even bread and beans, when you take it in the morning, it's assumed that the whole of your day is going to be slowed down.
Because it's there are some heavy foods that you can have that kind of food as your lunch or early dinner. But once you have it as your breakfast, okay, one of the reasons why people say breakfast is the most important meal of the day is that once you take breakfast, you're not tempted to snack on something that is not healthy. So you're full. Now, that does not mean you should take some swallows, you know, like banga, starch, and all that. And then you feel satisfied. You're supposed to have something like that's why people advise cereals, bread and tea and all that.
Something like-
So once you now eat something so heavy and you feel, it's just normal. You start to yawn and you want to sleep. So how are you supposed to get through
No,
your day?
that particular friend of mine was always sleeping.
Actually,
I
that's
was
what
always
happened.
sleeping.
I saw something.
You know, you just see her go. Oh yeah, but it's
And
kicking
the wrong
in.
choice, my parents.
I actually saw something on Instagram that when you're something about your village people wants to get you, you eat bread and beans 2 hours to an exam. And then
You're likely to have tummy upsets.
I know.
Yes, but
Because of the
something
tension.
about beans, because most times when I take beans, you know, I've just even concluded that okay, anytime I want to go to the toilet, I will just eat beans, because you know, it always makes my tummy. You get there's a rumble in my tummy, and then blah, blah, blah.
Sean was actually explaining something to me this morning that most of the times your mindset actually makes you think that something is wrong with your system, you know. It is your mind. You probably have had it in mind that, okay, this might affect me. And then because of your mindset, it would actually.
I know, but you know, funny enough, the reason why I feel that this dietary habits for children is very important is because, you know, there's so many things that parents do wrong when it comes to packing breakfast, lunch for their children. And, you know, at a very tender age, like she said, from the age of 0 to 5, it's very important that you feed them with the right food. You pick the right, you know, you have the right choice of food to give them, because it helps them with their mental growth, their physical growth. You know, and every other growth that they need at that tender age, you know. And so there's so many things that, like I said, the eba, like, how would you give a child eba
To school.
in the morning? Really, you know. So all these things are things that we have to address. We have to address it. I've shared my story.
Yeah, like I said, I need to actually pay a visit. So
Yes,
because
I know.
70% of Dupe's talk today has been my mom is a good cook. So I need to come
So you
visit
don't even need
and
to
say
go
hello.
far. You know, you don't need to go far, because I'm actually a good cook too.
Anyways, please, can you move on to actually introducing our guest? Because
Okay, so we have been doing lots of talking, sharing our experiences as to how, you know, our mothers used to pack our lunch when we were in school. And now we have our guest in the studio to do justice to the topic, dietary habits for children. His name is Ebenezer Anifowoshe, and he is a nutritionist. You're welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Welcome
Good
to Tia.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming here.
Okay, so let's let our health correspondent set the ball rolling.
Oh, yes. Okay, so we are talking about dietary habits in children, especially the healthy choices. But first, we have to define what dietary habits are. So, what is dietary habits? What are dietary habits?
I think just like every other habit, I believe, so dietary habits are basically the options and food choices we make every day, day in, day out. So over time, becomes an habit, whether it's positive or negative. Yeah, so that's what would be dietary habits if I have to define it succinctly.
Okay. All right, so we're talking about dietary habits in children. So now, for parents out there who do not actually know how to balance the diet for their children, she gave an example of a friend who actually takes eba in the morning for breakfast to school. I mean, so how can parents have knowledge to imbibe this dietary habits into their children?
All right, thank you. Well, basically, if I'll start off with a reference to the eba, breakfast are supposed to be light foods, something not too heavy. And actually, they are one of the most important meals for the day. The recommendation is that children should never skip breakfast. So no matter how busy a parent is, you must ensure that your child takes something before they leave home, because if you put it in their lunchbox or their bag, they might not have it until noon or something. So it's important that you ensure they take something before they leave home in the morning. No matter how light it is, maybe just a cup of tea or coffee and toast or something or egg.
Okay, actually, because they are not just watching in Nigeria, other parts of countries are also watching. So, in case you're wondering what eba is actually a meal. You might need to define that. Yes, eba is actually a meal for the western part of Nigeria, Yorubas. It's actually common with Yorubas, and it's made with gari cassava. Using cassava, yes. So please go on. I just needed to clear that. Okay.
So lunch, basically, so for children, of course, have to pack their lunch boxes. And the other important thing, recommendation is fruits and vegetables should be part of their daily diet. So we need to ensure that there's that balance. So when they go to school, ensure in the lunch box that there's a fruits, there's a major meal, and then other snack options, because children, of course, want to snack through the day. So once that is done, then at the evening, when they come back home, most likely, you will now ensure they also have a balanced diet, not too heavy, of course, because of going to bed. So doing that over time, ensuring that there's fruit and vegetables in your diet constantly at all meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and on every other day, ensures the child learn these basic habits. And I think I can say this at this point also, one habit that they should not cultivate is taking lots of sugar.
Okay.
Yes, so I think that's actually where we can just park there and just talk about that, because a lot of it is about sugar. Sugar is the culprit for most of the diseases.
And this is actually the best time to talk about it, because they're in school now, and parents can actually learn this.
Yes. So so once you're sure that they are not used to sugar, or if they are used to it already, try to just cut down their sugar intake. Especially added sugar intake. So I think that's actually where the crux of all of the habit is. Everything is tied to sugar eventually, whether it's processed foods or just soda that kids is having, even their juice that's in their lunchbox. So just monitoring the sugar intake, and once the child understands that it shouldn't have too much sugar. So even if I've had sugar, I had sugar yesterday, I had a drink yesterday, I had 2 days ago. Once the child understands that I should monitor my sugar intake, they can also begin to make choices and say, okay, I don't want this today. If someone offers them at lunch, or he has to buy something at school, okay, let me opt for this rather than this. So I think that's where it will be empowering children to also be able to make their own choices. When they understand the effect of what they eat on their diet. Okay, so academics.
You mentioned the fact that sometimes in the lunch pack of the child there should be snacks. So what do you prefer? What do you prefer as healthy snack? What you recommend?
All right.
Because you said sugar. I mean, most of these snacks contain sugar.
So to cut down on sugar in snacks, we're taking our local alternatives. We have many foods that can be used as snacks.
Right.
Granuts.
Snack?
Yes.
Children, telling a child to take granuts to
react to that. To granuts.
Allergies.
Yeah, of course, there are many other alternatives, and it's about if your child reacts to it, then you look for the alternatives. But kuli, granuts and all its derivatives anyway, everything it's made up from. And you could also make your homemade food, also helps cut down on sugar. So you can actually make your cookies at home. Yes, you can do that. Baking at home.
Baking at home.
So it's different from buying biscuits up in the market or something like. So because the sugar content will be quite different, because you can control what you put into it. So if it's cake too, anyway, if it's made at home, it's preferable to whatever you buy outside. It's also kind of general principle. Homemade meals are best, irrespective of whatever it is. Yeah. So walnuts. I think they're just things that come in season. I see for someone selling walnuts today. It's snacks. I mean, so we can actually munch on those things. So
because I was going to mention that I have a friend that gives her child tiger nuts to school.
That's a 5-star parent, please.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. I have my head is buzzing with lots of questions. Before she mentioned that, we were talking about how peer pressure comes into play when these children take snacks to school. Now, tiger nuts, almond, pistachios, all kinds of nuts that they take to school. How can you monitor your child's intake when you're not there, knowing fully well that these children, anything can influence their choices, despite the fact that they are aware that, okay, this is healthy and all that. How will you be able to monitor your child when somebody gives a very nice processed cookie to the child and says, okay, this is pretty sweet, and all that. So how can you do that?
Well, I think there may be no way to monitor, because you can't be there, except the teacher in school is also doing the monitoring. But I think what will be most important is to empower the child with knowledge to make choices. And really, not just children, teenagers, adults. I mean, we don't want to be controlled. But once we are empowered with knowledge, we can make a choice. So it's not about avoiding cookies, not like it's a no-no. There's no law that says never eat this, never eat that, no, when it comes to health. But the child knows, okay, I can have cookies on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. Well, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I shouldn't have any, and he knows why. Not just that it's saying never eat it, don't touch it. No. So the child understands why he should not have too much of this or too much of that. So I think that's just the most important knowledge. In fact, he or she would be the one educating his other colleagues that you're having too much of this, you're having too much of this, too much of everything is bad. So it's that balance that is very important. And as a parent, once you ensure your child has the balance, as this, as that, not too much of everything, not like every day it has to be soda and soda and soda and soda and soda, or cake and cake and cake. And so that's where the excess comes. But once the child is empowered to understand why, and also empowered to make choices. I think that's probably how to monitor. And one other important thing I think we really need to focus in, and schools also should focus on. In the school shops, what do they have on display? It's really worrisome. It bothers me.
Very pertinent.
It bothers me a lot. NCDs, a lot of diseases that are tied to diets, we are still struggling, the adults. With the parents.
There's been non-communicable diseases,
Non-communicable diseases, yes, that are preventable, and major risk factors are diet and exercise and active lifestyle. So the burden is high. A lot of people are down with them. 1 in 2 persons has hypertension. But what are we doing to secure the next generation? I think when parents even understand this, maybe they'll be more encouraged to do the needful. Because sometimes we also know these things, but we are not doing them. And so there's that gap between knowledge and actually acting on them. But the burden is real, and we need to help our children, like secure their future. Whatever they eat now determines how healthy they will be in 10 years, 15 years' time. So we can actually protect them by what we feed them. So that's the big picture. And once the child understands this too, understands what causes diabetes, excess sugar, which burdens the body, and then the body breaks down, can no longer process sugar like it should. What can I do? Cut down my sugar, ensure I don't have too much sugar over the week. And it's not just per day. I mean, it's over time. Yeah. So once the child has the basic knowledge, hypertension, because everybody has hypertension, 1 in 2 persons rather. So sorry for saying everybody. The statistics 1 in 2 persons, 1 in 2 adults above 40 have hypertension in Nigeria. So what can we do to ensure that our children in the next 15 years they'll be 25, 30, and then they are more protected. They are not exposed to risk factors for all of these diseases. So it's by just helping them now.
Yeah. I feel Wura should relate to that experience that you said you had with your cousin.
I mentioned that earlier. Talking about peer pressure, I have a cousin that went to school, and then her mom, like you mentioned earlier on, I was just about to tell him that I think her mom needs to watch this when you mentioned that a child must have fruit or vegetable in their lunch box to school. So the mom usually give apple and water for mid-break. then she takes proper food by 2 o'clock. And then the child takes the fruit to school and realizes that her mates brings snack, biscuits, drinks, and all of that. So one of them approached her and told her that your mom can't afford to get all of this for you, and that is why she's giving you fruit and water every day. You know, my mom traveled and got all of this for me, and that was like, okay, what's happening? Why would a child actually say that? Then she got to school and decided to tell her mom that she is no longer taking fruit or food. Both food, she said she's no longer taking any of it to school again, that because this is what her friend said about it. And I think that is where peer pressure comes in. That kind of situation, what would you advise the parents?
Yes, I think apart from what I said earlier, schools also have a part to play. Because of course there are school policies, elder school policies that if schools actually follow, they need to encourage eating healthy, eating of fruits and vegetables. They need to encourage it a lot. So what is the school's opinion? Has the school ever talked about healthy eating? Has the teacher ever mentioned it in their basic science subjects? They do food and nutrition. They do, okay, that's for senior, but they have the subjects where they touch on fruits and vegetables. What did they teach them during that session? So I mean, if the teacher actually also elaborated why fruits and vegetables are important and why they should eat every day, I don't think that other students would have been bold to say, because everybody will have an understanding of these things are important. In fact, if you are not eating these things, then your diet is not balanced. You're not having adequate diet. So that should be a general notion and understanding amongst all school children.
Okay, before we go on break, actually, I wanted you to explain, because the other day, the following day, the mother now had to pack so much junks in the lunchbox, like 5 different expensive brands of biscuits. Just packed everything so that that child can understand and look, I can afford it. I can afford it, but it's just for my child to stay healthy. Now, do you think that was right?
The right approach?
I wouldn't think that was the best approach. It was an approach, but I wouldn't think that was the best approach. Understanding is the most important thing. If the child who had to now take the junks to school had the knowledge, of course, there and then would have confronted the other person and said, this is what it is.
Probably educate the
that was just to boost the confidence of the child.
Well, I've taken that to school, maybe not too wrong, but it's still the, so maybe if it's for my child, and maybe, show this to your friend and let them understand why. It is not that you cannot afford it, but it is the best.
Okay, so we need to go on a break now, but please do stay glued. We still have Mr. Ebenezer Anifowoshe here in the studio with us talking about dietary habits for children. Stay glued because tea or coffee. We'll be right back.
When you think about it, there's a lot to celebrate in our lives. From the smallest milestones to our biggest moments, we'll pamper you at High Impact Planet. Whatever the occasion, let's celebrate you at High Impact Planet, where fun just got real.
Yes, you're welcome back to Tea or Coffee, and we are still talking about dietary habits for children. Yes, we still have a nutritionist in the studio with us. Yes, Ebenezer Anifowoshe. And we were talking about, our experience, our cousin and all, and thankfully you've been able to explain that, So now let's talk about, what is the right food intake? In what proportion and what type of foods do you think is recommended, is best for children now that especially they are going, they are already back in school, for all-round growth?
Yes, very similar to the food recommendations for adults.
Okay.
I also just want to say, before I delve into it, that there is no special food, because people usually have this habit of, once they hear that food is good, then they just latch onto that food. Yes, and then they say it's good, they take too much of it. So it's always about having a balance.
Okay.
And we've also moved from balanced diet to adequate diets. Yeah. It's about...
Yes, I was about to ask.
Back in school, I mean, years ago, they teach us balanced diets, carbohydrate, protein, fat, and that's what makes your diet balanced. But eating is very from nutrition.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a difference. So if you eat, doesn't mean you are actually getting nutrition from that food. So adequate nutrition is what is important now, ensuring that you are getting adequate. And it's adequate because on a daily basis, children, adults, they need a certain amount of vitamins and minerals. Then go on to say energy and other things. Yeah. So if we are not getting those daily doses of vitamins and minerals, we are not feeding ourselves like we should. We're not getting adequate nutrition. And plus and minus, I think that's what affects us over time. So for children, there has to be that balance in all of the classes of food. And the new class of food, not really new, but with science and research, they keep coming with new information. So cereals, so we have the corn, the millet, and every other food group under that. Then we have the tubers, cassava, yam, and co. Then we have the fruit and vegetables, of course, fruits, major fruits that we all know, and vegetables, leafy green vegetables, and that. And then we also have the salt cereals, legumes. Yeah, legumes are the beans, the lentils, cowpeas, soya beans, and all that. So those are the major food groups, and we just have to ensure that a child has, on a daily basis, takes food from all of those food groups. Yeah. Carbohydrates, which gives the energy, should form about 40 to 50% of the diet. Then fruit and vegetables, also about, I skipped protein earlier. Fruit and vegetables, also about 30%. And then protein, about 15 to 30%. Proteins, of course, meat, fish, and all the eggs and milks, and all of their derivatives. So it's not about ensuring they have that balance. But children are growing, so they need lots of protein. They need it on a daily basis, and then milk is important because it gets to fortify them with vitamins, calcium rather, and many other nutrients. So I think that would be it really. Of course, it's a wide topic, and we won't really go down into doing calculations about a child probably needs around 1,000 to 1,500 calories per day. But of course, the emphasis is no more on calories. We're moving on from there because it kind of distorts healthy nutrition. People now just count calories. So the emphasis is on calories, but obviously, if you do give your child breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it reflects all of these food groups, and the child has enough to their fuel, they are likely to cover the calories by default.
Okay, so I actually have to come in there talking about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You said you must take something light. Now, what you refer as something light might not be what I would see as something light. Some parents still feel like noodles can be something light, rice can be something light. But as a nutritionist, I would want you to actually mention particular foods that would actually be perfect for breakfast. For children.
Rice is not a no-no for breakfast. It's fine. Because that just means you won't have too much of it. Bread, toasts, eggs. Really, maybe because I'm on air, I think
no brands.
What do you say?
No brands.
Yeah, no brands. Yeah,
Yeah, no brands.
But I think what we would not want to have for breakfast are heavy foods. I think let's just put it like that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's wrong to say don't have this kind of food for breakfast. There's no law that says that. So, but if it's not too heavy, that won't make the child feel drowsy, then I think it's
because
fine.
a lot of people actually take in noodles in the morning. First is fast to make, and then
I would not want us to shake that noodles table because there is a lot to be shaken there.
I know,
a
right?
whole lot. And then another thing about talking about breakfast, I think there is all these fortified cereals that you could use milk, because I know there's something about children between 0 to 5 years, they have this growth, this brain growth, and then the cognitive functions are kind of built there. So they need omega-3 fatty acids and then foods containing them, specifically milk. I think they said from 0 to 5 years old, they should always take milk, right?
Yes.
Because of those compounds. Okay.
But let me also just add that bearing it down, now fortified meals are required because we know that it's more difficult to get in all of those nutrients by eating food. So ideally, we only fortify because we know we are not getting them from food. If you get what I mean.
Yes.
So yes. So that's why, of course, it's important to now put the children on fortified diets, fortified cereals, and ensure they get enough.
So just because our time is fast spent, let me ask this quick question about picky children. Now let me give an example, because I have a niece, and then thankfully she doesn't like sweet things. If you give her sweet, she won't take it. You know, she's more of the fruits person. Give her apple, you give her pineapple. She loves, fruits. But in a case where, you now want to give her rice, and she's so picky that, there's specific things that she likes and that you can't just even force her to take. So in case of picky children, how can you encourage them to, eat healthy, especially when they don't want to, take the food?
Plus, before you answer that question, you were talking about food choices, how you can educate these children to know the difference between right and wrong. So how do you draw the line between giving them the choice to choose, the choice for healthy meals or of healthy meals, and they saying, okay, I don't want to eat this, how do you draw that line between picky eats and giving them a choice?
So that it can actually be part of them, and they get to the point where they can make choices themselves.
Yeah. Okay, I think I'll start off from here.
Okay.
I think if children, if I can say picky eaters for children, babies, toddlers, they're picky, they don't eat a lot of things, and then you have to look for what they want. But once someone becomes a child, 5 years, 5 to 10, we will still have a lot of say on their food choices. But a time comes when they say they don't just eat something, or they might actually react to it or become allergic to it. I think partly it's because of how they started. I mean, what they were fed when they were much, much smaller. So what I'm trying to say is people can get used to foods.
Yes,
if I've never had yam while or I didn't have enough of it while I was 1, 2, 3, it might be difficult for me to start eating yam or liking yam at 5. So when a child says, I don't like this, it isn't natural. The child, it was an habit the child had now developed to say, I don't like a particular food. So we can actually also change that. So it's not always absolute. When someone says, I don't like this food, we can help the child learn to like the food by introducing the food subtly or in different forms as we can. Of course, not like forcing child to eat what child doesn't want to eat, absolutely.
Or you modify the forms.
Modify the forms, yes, process it. So if it's beans, akara, and the likes, mamoy and co. So how to help picky children? So there's no formula that works. It's about understanding your child and just helping them to understand. The knowledge will always play a part, depending on the age of the child, that you need these foods. So knowledge can help, and then processing the food, modifying into different forms, giving alternatives, and then introducing the food little by little can help over time. So I think that would be it, really, because there's really no way to, except there's a specific case you are addressing.
Okay, I'm going to be very brief with this because our time is fast spent. Okay, so talking about picky eating, there was a time my nephew, when he was growing up, he was about 1 year old. So, and then my sister wanted the best nutrition for him, so she got this really expensive brand, and then introduced it to the child. Very expensive, fortified with nutrients and all that. And no, this baby refused to take it. The baby was taking the regular cereals, you know, ogi and all that. I'm like, what kind of child? So how do you do that? You know, despite the fact, okay, she withdrew it at some point, later introduced it. No, the child refused.
Okay.
So how do you deal with that? You just cut the food out?
Well, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you just have to, you can try again, but not like it's the only, not like that's the food the child has to eat to grow. If the child doesn't have that food, nothing will happen.
Okay.
So it's just about finding
right.
alternatives. And then
Thank you very much,
Thank you so
Ebenezer
much.
and Ifowoshe,
Thank
for
you
coming
too.
to the show today.
Thanks
I
for
was
having me.
really thank you for coming today.
Yeah.
All right. So we've learned that, you know, we have to give our children the right, you know, food.
It's not just about eating,
Exactly.
but the nutrition.
The nutrition in it. There's fruits, vegetables, you know, and the likes of it. I could go on and on about what we have learned because we actually have learned a lot. But our time is fast spent. But so I'm going to just do this quickly. Please let me pass it to you.
Oh,
Thank
yes.
you.
Thank you so
Thank you so much
We
for
know we
coming.
cannot quantify it, but then thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
honoring us
So much
with
fun.
your
And yes,
knowledge.
of course, on behalf of High Impact TV,
Thank you.
yes, we are presenting that
Thank
to
you very much.
as a
Thank
token
you.
of our appreciation. you
Yeah.
know. So thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thanks for
All
having me.
right. It's at this point that we
Yes,
have to
we have
wrap
to
up
wrap
the
up.
show.
Time to go.
But be sure to take tea or coffee this morning.
Yeah,
It's
you know.
important. All right. So please join us same time and of course same station tomorrow for another exciting episode of Tea
yes.
or Coffee. My name remains Modupe Jacobs.
And I am Uraola Pupola.
And I'm Oluwase Olusegun.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers. Bye.